Hello and welcome to Walker Tea Review. I'm Jason Walker, here to present and taste those recognized teas that you may be familiar with, those obscure delights. So we're going to go ahead and get out a scoop of tea, get it started, talk about which one this one is. I've scooped out enough to cover the bottom inch and a half diameter of my 3-ounce gaiwan here. My water's been brought to an early boil, started to rumble, not a full heavy rolling boil, but I'm going to add just enough. Sit above the rim of the lid. Gaiwans are a nice kind of standard tool to have as far as making, preparing consistent teas. It's fairly simple, very easy to clean compared to some of the more complicated kettles or pots that can be out there. Not as easy to get inside of and clean out well. Nice clean white enamel there. Now, talking about this tea and introducing it, I want to go ahead and do that. This is from Peony Tea. This is their AnxiIronGoddessTraditional. Iron Goddess of Mercy being the most usual translation of Tia Guanyin. So this is a Tia Guanyin, if you would prefer to use, or Tai Guanyin, depending on the pronunciations there. They're depending on who's saying it, where they're from. This is a traditional, the traditional part comes in from the traditional roast, which we'll talk about in a minute. You can get 10 grams for 15 Singapore dollars, 15 Singapore dollars and 50 cents. It is from Anxi area of Fujian province. It was a spring 2012 harvest, and Peony Teas goes into detail to even tell you that yes, this actually came from a Tia Guanyin cultivar, which is of course, the plant is the Tia Guanyin varietal of tea plant, and it was charcoal roasted, as I mentioned before. A lot of times, Tia Guanyins have been given a more modern, a lighter roasting or firing in more of a conventional type of tea oven, so that there's maybe a gas source of flame, but this one is a charcoal roast. So some of that smell and character gets transferred, and this is a more, like it says, a more traditional, the old style way of doing it. And you can have different levels of roasting as well. Some become more dark, deep, intense. So as we look at the dry leaf, the wet leaf, and the liquor, and especially the dry here, we may be able to see that darker colors appear on these leaves. Now, scooping out a little bit here. Compared to some of the more, what they, maybe you might hear called more modern or newer style of Tia Guanyin, this one is darker. It is more of a drabber green going over towards a kind of a yellow-brown color. Most of these are bald and look to be like they could be in some cases more than one leaf. It's hard to tell. Or they could be just very large leaves, as some of these are, quarter of an inch or between a quarter of an inch and a half an inch in diameter or size, depending on how they're crinkled or balled or crumpled. I should give this a smell as well. It's not so much in that, like I said, that more modern, that greener Tia Guanyin that is more of a floral type smell. This one's getting more towards a lighter, woody or toasted type of aspect. I get a very faint hint of a kind of a sappy wood type of smell, raw lumber, raw pine. There's a little bit of that woody kind of note there. Although it is sweet, along with that there is a gentle kind of toasted grain type of note there, but lighter, gentler than some of your more heavily roasted. Now, I'm going to go ahead and pour here, and that way be able to talk about the wet leaf, followed by the liquor. Again, it's got just the liquor here itself, a bit of a deeper, slightly darker, more closer to honey than a bright yellow. We'll look at that a little bit later. Give this a shake, loosen those leaves up a little bit. some of the rich, and it's not, again, not floral type of smells, but more of a heavier sweetness type of smell. It's almost it's almost kind of buttery. There's almost a little bit of that, but not like a Jinshan milk oolong. I wouldn't put it in that category yet. I would put this as butter, sauteed butter that's almost kind of sauteed. It's beginning to get kind of, the heat is getting to it. It's almost as if it's starting to, if you could imagine browned butter. There is that saute kind of smell there going. So it's slightly sweet with the smells there. Again, more of like a sweet cream type of smell. And again, warm, toasty. Again, moving a little bit towards, there's a little bit of a if you sauteed oats in butter, there's that kind of toasty grain type with that sweetness of a nice sweet butter. Looking at these leaves, I'm going to pull a few of these out here. In many cases, these are not, or okay, in this case, most of the leaf, and maybe a little bit of the end where it connected to the branch, the stem end broke off. But you can also see that it's quite ragged. You can see that there are some blotches of darker brown along some of the edges or sections of the leaves there. So that, I'm going to put that there. See what else we have here. Another leaf. Again, ragged, raw edges. Blotches of brown, darker brown here and there. Looking for any sets. It's hard to find any, so these are nearly all individual leaves. So that's consistent in the grading process there. A little less blotchiness on this one, a little more intact leaf there, but fairly similar. Again, not a lot of oxidation compared to what some can have. Still quite green, so again, the charcoal roasting, added some darkness to it, but not that much. I'm going to go ahead now, give us a pour, talk about the liquor. Hold that up to the light a little bit. It's, as I said, a bit of a darker, moving towards a little bit of a darker, almost kind of the brownness of a honey instead of the bright yellow, ever so slightly. I mean, it's still more yellow than, say, a lot of your beers are. Give this a smell here. Again, that woody character is coming out a little bit more. So it does have kind of a woody, sappy, combined with a little bit of that English laurel type of shrub type of smell, the woody stem of that shrub. So it's got, again, some of the woody, a little bit of the sweetness there too. Faint, gentler, lighter, kind of buttery type aspect there. Broth or texture here, as it cools, I'm detecting it more. It's got a very, very mild coating or texture that just rests across the top of the tongue, mostly in the front half of the tongue. In the back, aftertaste wise, some residual sweetness there. Again, gentle, not intense, but starting to build up a little bit of almost as it rests there, a bit of floral sweetness rises up into my nose. through the back of my mouth there. So it does have some nuance, some variation in character as it travels through the mouth and as you experience it. So, and the sweetness, the aftertaste, is still sustained. It's not the most intense, like I said, but it's fairly well sustained. So this tea overall, you think it's quite subdued. It's not blatant, and yet it's got quite a bit of nuance. This is the kind of tea it'd be nice to just sit down when you can have some time of quiet, some time of relaxation, and just be able to pull apart all the aspects of this tea and enjoy each and every one. It'd be a great kind of sensory experience to travel that road and experience all the stops along the way. So in that sense, quite a rewarding, quite a tea that you can really journey with. I'd have to give this tea a bit of a higher score because of that. Some Tijuanians, especially some of the lighter roasts, do not offer as much of that. So I would give this tea, I'd probably give this tea a 92. It's higher in the areas than some of the others. So come back to Walker Tea Review to, again, find those teas that are just the usual recognized ones, and then those ones that carry you on a superior journey, really.